InsuranceMarkert.ae does revenue of 500 million dirhams a year.
Yes.
A lot of people have asked me, how much budgets does InsuranceMarkert.ae have? I keep seeing Alfred all the time.
We have budget.
UAE is considered as one of the safest places. Why is insurance relevant in a safe country like UAE?
Safe can be perceived in two ways. Safety in terms of crime, safety in terms of
If floods that happen were to happen in other parts of the world, what would the response of that particular nation be?
our average call time at the time of the floods was 30 minutes and we had thousands of claims.
The UAE government has mandated that the employer is supposed to provide the employee mandatory health insurance.
We have seen customers being hospitalized, bills racking up to the millions, and insurance covering that. That is real insurance. We even have had incidents in Dubai where there's been fires and it has not turned out well.
Welcome to another episode of the Neetbherwani show. Today we are joined by Avinash Babur, the founder and CEO of InsuranceMarkert.ae, UAE's largest insurance platform with over 22,000 customer reviews and a 4.8 rating. With over a decade of experience of transforming the insurance landscape in the region, Avinash has been the forefront of making insurance accessible and customer-centric to everyone. In this episode, we'll delve into why insurance remains crucial in the UAE, one of the safest countries in the world. This episode is powered by the Superbridge Summit happening on the 15th and 16th October 2024, an event which is bringing together some of the biggest change makers and leaders of the world. If you're an entrepreneur, someone looking to learn and build great connections and network, you should definitely come. I will be there, and I'm leaving the event details of this particular event in the description so you can register as well. Use my code Neet30 and you'll get a 30% discount exclusively on me. Welcome to the podcast, Avinash.
Thank you for coming in. What a great setup. You guys are pros.
Thank you so much. UAE is considered as one of the safest places, and people generally get insurance when they feel unsafe. Why is insurance relevant in a safe country like UAE?
Safe can be perceived in two ways. One is safety in terms of crime in a place and things like that.
Yeah.
And then the other is safety in terms of natural perils that can happen, right? Whether it's floods or fires, earthquakes, and things like that. Natural perils can happen. It's inevitable.
Right.
We saw it happen to us here. We respond well, but they can happen. And it's a massive risk. It can obliterate everything one owns. And so it's a no-brainer. There's no false sense of safety that comes from, an act of God and some kind of destructive event.
Right.
Now, when it comes to crime, certainly Dubai is one of the safest, if not the safest city in the world. And that is phenomenal. But Dubai is also a transient place. It's a place where people love to travel.
Right.
If you have an expensive watch, you can get insurance for it where the cover is 24/7 worldwide.
Where pickpocketing does happen quite often.
This is an example. There could be an idiosyncratic situation where there is an event of theft or fire in someone's home. What happens is that insurance is based on the pooling of risk. So because Dubai is significantly safer than the rest of the world, the insurance is priced to match that.
Got it.
If something were to cost £1,000 to insure in the UK, for let's say for a property, right? For a residence,
Right.
a home insurance, what we call. So if something were to cost £1,000, in Dubai, that would cost 500 dirhams.
It's massive.
Yeah, because the risk is much lesser.
Right.
It doesn't matter if the risk is less or more because it's priced based on that. So you might as well have the insurance.
Yeah,
because
it's more
there is
accessible to the customer.
Yeah, there is
right?
never zero risk, right? There's
Right.
always some risk. And if it's priced appropriately, you might as well get it. So this is the cheapest home insurance market in the world in terms of developed economies.
And
so why not have it?
Absolutely.
It's a no-brainer.
And I think even government policies dictate the customer decision towards buying insurance, right? For example, car insurance is mandatory. Like if you're speaking about cars, third-party insurance is mandatory. Comprehensive is good to have, and people who had comprehensive insurance benefited a lot, especially on the floods. I have a car and I just got into a car accident, right? And I have it insured by you. What's the timeline that we are looking at? Like, when will that claim get resolved? Walk us through that particular process. And has digitization made an impact in this particular process, like in the claims process?
Sure. So I'll answer the second question first, which is on digitization in claims.
Yeah.
Digitization and integrations with the insurance companies, all of that is developing very quickly.
Okay.
But that's on the back end.
Right.
On the front end, I have a contrarian view. I actually don't believe in digitization.
Oh, okay.
When it comes to claims. The reason being that when you are in a situation where emotions are running high, you don't want to be told, go to the app and sort it out. You want to talk to someone who can help you out immediately,
Right.
who can almost pacify you and assure you that don't worry, it's going to be okay and I'll be by your side. So what we do at InsuranceMarket.ae is when you have a claim, we give you a dedicated single point of contact. We give you a dedicated claims manager. And it's this person that is available to you on WhatsApp, on phone, in the most human way possible and the least digital way possible to help you out. Ultimately, we're here to help people, right? And this is a time of need.
Right.
And so I actually believe whilst the claims managers should have all of the best infrastructure possible, when it comes to the policyholder, when they're in a situation where they're stuck on the road or they've had an incident at home, you need a claims manager
Makes sense.
to be there for you and help you out. And so when we had the floods, we actually had to double our claims team. And we had 5x the number of claims, but we could only double the claims team from internal recruitment. And so we made sure that we were there to talk to people. There were customers. Our average call time at the time of the floods was 30 minutes. And we had thousands of claims. But everybody wanted to talk. And we were happy to talk to them because this is what we're there for, right? It's an emotional connection and a relationship that we want to build with our customers by being there for them when they need us most.
I think that explains the reviews.
Thankfully, now that we're 4 months from that event, we can see that largely the industry did deliver.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'm thankful that the panel of insurers we work with, and we only work with the kind of most reputable A-grade insurance companies. When you go onto our portal, you'll not find quotes from 25 different insurance companies. We've formed strategic relationships with the best insurance companies here that we are confident will deliver at the time of a claim. And thankfully now we can see that now that it's behind us that they all delivered. And you just have to go to our Google reviews and read that so many of them are about thanking us for helping them out when the flood happened. And so many of these were kind of total loss cases, written off cases. Many, were repaired, and the repair, infrastructure in the market was under great strain. So thankfully, we've come out of it from the other side, showing a very resilient, not only insurance industry, but a very resilient country and city. What a phenomenal response that we've made.
Tell me this, Avinash, if this incident were to happen in other parts of the world, say if this was supposed to happen in India or any other nation, right? What would the response of that particular nation be? Could they have covered the loss of all of the number of cars that was wrecked? What do you think? What's your opinion on this?
So when it comes to insurance, it's usually supported by a good reinsurance infrastructure. So it's all about the regulatory environment that the industry is in. And you named India, for example. India has a very robust regulatory requirement when it comes to insurance. So the regulator makes sure that the insurance company has enough capital. So without comparing in that way, more broadly, the response of Dubai was phenomenal. The kind of projects that were announced, we could see straight away, whether on Emirates Road or Mohammed bin Zayed Road or Hessa Street, or Al Khail Road, you saw extra drainage being added, billions being spent. They didn't waste any time. It was a matter of almost days, I feel.
Right.
And that I don't think you'll find anywhere else in the world.
Absolutely. If I'm not wrong, the rulers of UAE announced that they will increase the drainage capacity by 10x.
They won the confidence of everyone.
Right.
And, whether it was the emergency response or the insurance industry's work, we feel very comfortable. We don't we don't feel unsafe in Dubai.
You have quite a significant customer base. The population of UAE is around 10 million, and I think you have 150,000.
Yeah, over 200,000.
Almost 200,000. So basically, you have captured 2% of the overall market, which needs insurance, right? How can we make the process I apply for insurance and I get it ASAP, right? How can it be delivered soon to me?
Yeah, so we started out as a digital transformation story.
Yeah.
And an online proposition.
Correct.
But because of the nature of how we are built, we didn't go deep into, throwing millions on tech because we're not VC funded. Everything we do is built with the end goal in mind, which is to help the customer. And in our case, customers are of three types. There's actual policyholders, people who come and buy from us. We have 200,000 plus of them. Then we have our employees who are our internal customers. And then we have our underwriters, our insurance company partners, who are also our customers. Everything we do, whether it's tech or otherwise, we want to be able to add value to our customers.
Right.
And that is the core of what we do. So you want it faster, cheaper, better, right? And we try to make that happen for each category of customer.
The UAE government has mandated that the employer is supposed to provide the employee mandatory health insurance. Now, what grade of health insurance? That is up to the employer and the thing. But where do you see government decisions like this impacting the insurance business? And what do you see trends in the future? What other things will become mandatory, which it's not mandatory right now?
I think personal property and landlord insurance is something that is in the offing.
Could you elaborate? What does landlord insurance mean?
So, a landlord has a liability towards their tenants.
Right.
We even have had incidents in Dubai where there's been fires and people have been in sharing accommodation, bed spaces, and it has not turned out well. There have been casualties. So that is being recognized, and I'm sure there'll be some program put in place. We've had the involuntary loss of employment program by the Dubai government. We've had the inbound tourist insurance, again, mandated by the government. And then the pensions program, which has been a big success in DIFC, is probably going to be rolled out in place of the end of service benefits structure for the mainland.
Okay.
So and these are all great initiatives. They form a good foundation, and like you rightly pointed out, the grade of that then differs. So where we feel we can add value as private market participants is in then helping customers upgrade that cover. Like the job loss insurance may cover you for a very small period for just your basic salary.
Right.
What if we can give you a job loss insurance that protects you for 6 months or a year for your actual whole salary package, maybe even your loss of commission income?
Right.
This is just an example. So, and that's what we saw on the health insurance front. When it became mandatory, the essential benefits plan is, like the name suggests, very, very, very essential, and has many limitations in terms of day-to-day things you can use in terms of getting covered.
Correct.
And we can see why it was put in place in this way, because you don't want to burden the economy with excessive costs that they can't afford, right? That businesses can't afford. So we're thankful for that. But certainly now we see people and companies want better.
Right.
We have stopped engaging in those products, and we're actually guiding customers by spending a little bit more. You can get a much more comprehensive cover. The government is doing a phenomenal job in building a strong foundation for insurance across various fronts, as we recognized. And then people like us have to play a role in making sure the cover is adequate and really educating the market on that.
Do you see something like smart contracts coming in? For example, let's look at someone looking to buy a property and making a contract in a way that if 1 million dirhams is transferred in this particular person's account, that particular property, he automatically gets the contract or something. So something of this sort, do you see in the insurance thing?
No, it actually is very valid in the area of claims, where the trigger of the claim and the data towards that trigger is easily identifiable.
Right.
So, for example, if a flight is delayed, that's public information.
Correct.
Right? It should straight away trigger a payment to the customer.
Correct. But it does not happen in most of the cases.
There are products out there.
Okay.
Not in the UAE, but it's going to come. Right? It becomes a great value proposition where you say that there will be no adjudication of the claim.
Right.
The event is triggered and the claim is automatically
or
paid.
Say that you lost your baggage and automatically whatever the insurance cover was on the baggage, it's credited to you.
Exactly. But I have my reservations in terms of whether this is real substantial in terms of claims.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people think about, when you say health insurance, for example, right? They think about the high frequency claims. And, with what we're talking about with, blockchain and smart contracts, these are all high frequency claims, right? Millions of claims happening every day.
Right.
But real insurance is when something severe happens. And again, when that happens, it goes back to people.
People matter most.
In the context of health insurance, People think, oh, health insurance means if I go to the doctor, I only have to pay 50 dirhams and the rest of the consultation and medicines and diagnostics are covered. Yes, your health insurance does that,
Yeah.
but that's not the point of health insurance. We have seen customers being hospitalized and it bills racking up to the millions
Millions of dirhams.
of dirhams, the dollars even, and insurance covering that. That is real insurance.
Right. That is where it matters
Yeah.
most, right? Like
It almost
50
doesn't
dirhams
matter. It
yeah.
almost doesn't matter if those consultations and diagnostics are covered or not.
Yeah.
But when you have a situation like that, you need insurance. It's a life or death situation. It's
Right.
as simple as that.
Correct.
Maybe the customer wouldn't have made it if it
Right.
wasn't for the insurance. Insurance is truly at its most powerful when you're talking about these catastrophic situations.
Makes sense.
And that is what we try to educate our customers on.
The recent floods that happened. You said that you predict risk, right? Like insurance is a business of predicting risk and pricing the product according to that. But none of the players predicted this particular event happening because it was one of its kind. The risk just went up slightly based on the last event. And since the risk has gone up, the pricing of the overall insurance market also would have gone up. So where do you see the trends heading in even talk about 2025, 2024? Are we set to see a price increase?
Yeah, there are many factors at play,
Yeah.
but fortunately or unfortunately, they're all inflationary.
Okay.
You cannot insure a home in California today because of the fires, for example. And then Japan has a different level of earthquake risk at the moment, right? In Dubai, we saw floods, which I think in the grand scheme of things weren't as catastrophic as some of the other climate change incidents we're seeing. That's a factor.
Right.
Which increases risk and will, insurance will have to be priced accordingly. Then we're generally in an inflationary era. So when you're repairing parts or buying equipment for healthcare services or no matter what industry you look at, there is inflation. So that drives the cost of claims up and inevitably trickles down to the pricing of insurance. The nature of what we're insuring and the risks at play are also changing and they're inflationary. So we're over time actually facing bigger and bigger risks. In the context of the traditional insurances, healthcare, the cost of medication and the type of medication and the equipment required is only going up. When it comes to cars, you have electric vehicles, which are much more complex to repair, much more expensive to repair, right? And we're going through a massive transformation there from, fossil fuels to electric. A lot of things in the supply chain have to change in order to be able to support that, including at the insurance front.
Right.
So that transition causes inflation, right? And then even beyond the traditional insurances, you have a lot of risks that people didn't realize are as substantial as they are today, including cyber risk. The risk of a business being interrupted because of a breach, or the legal costs associated because of a breach, everything around cyber risk, not only to a company, but even to a personal individual, in terms of fraud in their bank accounts and, phishing incidents and social engineering. There's a whole host of new risks which didn't exist in any meaningful way 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
But are very substantial now. This also is inflationary as, the need for, like we speak about home insurance being a no-brainer. Actually, even cyber insurance is a no-brainer. But most people don't have cyber insurance. Most companies don't have cyber insurance.
Is it being provided by you in the UAE?
We do, yes. Okay. But it's challenging, to be honest. So a lot of SMEs want it, but they can't get it. Because again, the insurance companies have to be able to figure out the quantum of risk here. And it's a quantum leap. There's a lot going on from a supply chain perspective. A lot of new products coming, a lot of new players coming into the market. For an entrepreneur, it's a disruptive space. But at the same time, it's not a foregone conclusion that cyber insurance will be a thing. It's just, again, indicative of how risks are changing around us. And the insurance industry will have to follow suit.
Absolutely. And I think it becomes even more evident in a direct-to-consumer business, right? For example, a company's directly selling products to a consumer and that consumer buys product from the company's website by entering their credit card information or something. These are like millions of data. And if a hacking organization gets access to such data, it's millions of data at risk at one go. So the loss can be catastrophic. And you can't even quantify something like this, right?
And we know the recent global outages that happened,
Yeah.
right, with the Microsoft situation. It can cause serious business interruption. If your entire business is on doing online sales and you can't do online sales for a day, that can cost you millions.
Absolutely.
That's a risk that very much can be insured.
I want to understand about your journey with InsuranceMarket.ae. It was established in 2010, right? And it's completely a bootstrapped venture. You didn't get any funding from outside. And right now, InsuranceMarket.ae does revenue of 500 million dirhams a year.
In insurance premiums, yes.
Yeah. A bootstrap company reaching 500 million dirhams a year. Take us through this journey, please.
As they say, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And that's what we did. We just put one step in front of the other. The only way to bootstrap is to create growth that is sustainable. So you won't 5x your business in 5 months. But what you can do is grow 35% year on year on year. And before you know it, 25 million becomes 500 million. And that was the journey. So when I came into the business, we were not even 20, we were about 20 million in terms of gross written premiums. And that's the first. I've never actually said that, although people could have worked out backwards. But we were about a 20 million dirham in traditional insurance brokerage that my dad had built. A very good quality business, very good reputation, some great customers. And then that's through that, venture of InsuranceMarket.ae, we just were able to continue to grow that business at a higher rate than it was growing before. And that's what led us to where we are today.
Perfect. And if I'm not wrong, from the number you mentioned, 20 million dirhams to 500 million dirhams right now, that's a 25x.
Exactly.
That's a 25x growth, right?
And we're still at the same growth rate. So it's, that's the magic and the power of compounding, because you can quickly go from 500 to a billion. You just have to do the maths. But we're not, honestly, at the momentum at which we're growing. I mean, even this number that you said today is a 40% growth from last year.
Oh, amazing.
So if we, are able to maintain the kind of momentum that we're on, I'm hoping in the next couple of years we'll be crossing the billion dirham mark, But for us, it's not about those numbers. It's about building a good quality, sustainable, healthy business. These numbers are nice to say out on podcasts, but that's not what really drives us. We are driven by, doing a great job, building the tech that we build, building the team that we're building, building the brand in the way that we build the brand. And that's what really drives us.
Right.
And drives me as well, personally.
Your mission statement, right? I want you to tell your mission statement for the audience so that they understand like where you're coming from. Because you mentioned that this does not drive you. Something else drives you. And I think your mission statement highlights that.
Yeah. So there's a mission statement for InsuranceMarket.ae, which is, we want to be the best platform for policyholders in the world, for anyone that wants to buy insurance or make a claim. And that's the mission statement for InsuranceMarket.ae. But as we are continuing to build the business, there's more to come. So you'll see a slight broadening out of that mission. We believe that the things that we have learned from building InsuranceMarket.ae, the kind of tech we have built, can actually be leveraged beyond insurance.
Okay.
So watch this space.
Amazing. And I don't think a lot of people know this, but InsuranceMarket.ae was not called InsuranceMarket.ae in the start. And I saw this in your recent TED talk, right? You were called something else, and there was a point of time where you were competing on price. What was it called before? And why this transition right now?
Yeah. If I take the perspective of a customer, for sure, every customer wants a great deal.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, you don't want a product that won't deliver. And you don't want a service that won't deliver. And as a result, the customer wants to buy from an organization that is reliable and trustworthy, especially when you're in a service like insurance, where you're selling nothing but a piece of paper for some money. So we started out with a mission of price. We'll get you the best deal. And that's why we were started out as quotebeater.ae and not InsuranceMarket.ae. But what we realized is that will we be able to provide the kind of service commitment that we want to just by driving down price? Because when you drive down the price, you compromise on various fronts, whether it's on the cover or the quality of the security, which is the insurance company, the amount of capital you can invest in team and tech and brand, And so you got to strike the right balance between making sure the customers get a great deal, but then they also get the most value as compared to what they would be able to find anywhere else. And that's much harder to achieve.
Right.
Cutting price, anybody can do. It's very easy to do. And that is why it never sustains, it never lasts, because you'll always find someone that can become cheaper.
Right.
And so for us, it was more about building a value proposition. And that is what we're doing till today, because that is a lifelong mission.
Absolutely.
We want to be the best platform for our policyholder when buying insurance and making a claim. What I spoke about in that TED talk about, how pricing wasn't working for us, because we could also see that it was leading to lower retention, because maybe we couldn't service the market with the right products due to the sole focus on price. And we went through that journey again a few years later, as I spoke about. The big learning there is, if the customers come to you for the right reasons, they'll stay for the right reasons. And if they come to you for the wrong reasons, they'll leave for the same reasons. So if the only reason the customer came to you and bought from you is price, then if you're a VC funded guy, at some point, you'll have to have unit economics that makes sense, and then they will leave you because there'll be another guy they can go to. So we never focused on that, and that allowed us to build a growing or compounding growth in our customer base, right? And that's what kept us in business.
This is a question that a lot of people have been wanting to ask. A lot of people have themselves asked me, like, how much budgets does InsuranceMarket.ae have? I see their billboards everywhere. Everywhere I go, I keep seeing Alfred all the time.
We have unlimited budget. So if you're into advertising, just come to us, give us a quote, and I would encourage you, quote high.
Right.
And we'll pay it. We have unlimited budgets.
People think you spend a lot of money on advertisements, but I know for a fact you don't. You're very smart about it, because when you're purchasing ad deals, you're saying that you look at doing ad deals on the radio for like 3 years, 5 years, long term, right? And I think the same thing can also be applicable in billboards and all that stuff, right? You're doing long-term contracts. And when you do such long-term contracts, you get better pricing.
You're along the right lines, but it's not necessarily just long-term contracts. That's one strategy which works. But basically, in any business transaction, you want a win-win situation.
Right.
You want a situation where both parties benefit.
Right.
And that it becomes a sustainable business partnership. And that's what we focused on, right? In some cases, that means doing a 5-year deal, 10-year deal, some cases annual contracts. Sometimes we'll do a 1-week deal even, right? But it's completely dependent on what is the objective of the partner and what is our objective, and can we get together and help each other out in achieving that objective.
When you talk about insurance, you're top of mind here in the UAE, right? I love the fact how you have spoken about everything that you do in that one sonic branding jingle that you have. Like, you're talking about what kind of insurance you have. You've given your number also, 800 Alfred. So I was like thinking once, okay, hey, I want to get like insurance, but I don't know the number of InsuranceMarket.ae, right? And then I was like, okay, I remember the tune. It's 800 Alfred.
So you sang it in your head.
It's in my head, right? It's in my head. And I just dialed the number and I got connected to you.
Call 800 Alfred 24/7. InsuranceMarket.ae.
The marketing being done is brilliant. There are other people in other industries who want to be top of mind in their industry. How can entrepreneurs be top of mind in their particular industry?
I don't know if there's one right answer. For us, it was really about Alfred played a big role, and then simplicity in the advertising. So, often you'll find brands signing brand ambassadors, and that lasts for like 6 months or a year.
Right.
I used to see that a lot when setting up Insurance Market. That seems a bit inconsistent. So why not create a brand ambassador that becomes famous and then everyone knows? So then the decision was, do I put my face or Alfred's? No, just kidding. We put Alfred's face out there. Right. And today Alfred has become a household name, a true brand ambassador that people recognize. Marketing insurance is very difficult. When it comes to social media, every genius comes to me and says, hey, but what about your social media strategy? Have you thought about doing organic social? You don't have that many followers. It's like, yeah, people don't want to talk about insurance on social media. It's boring. Right? Insurance is a chore. So my objective is that when you do need insurance, we're the de facto name that comes to your mind, and you go
Right.
to InsuranceMarkert.ae.
Makes sense.
Right? So every business is different. Now, if you're an aspirational product or a product which is interesting, you don't need to go on the radio and talk about it 20,000 times in a month, right? But we're not that. So we recognize that. And so we've,
adapted to
we've
your-
developed our strategy accordingly. And then it's about testing and learning, right? So you understand what works and what doesn't work.
The key success to any organization is to find the right product market fit, right? How do you guys go about evaluating product market fit for any new product that you're launching?
That's a great question. Product market fit is very different for a Silicon Valley proposition versus where the addressable market is relatively smaller, or the deliverable is relatively more complex in terms of being able to deliver through tech. So you got to look for the small wins. So in our case, it was never a case of even like what I described in my journey. It was never that one moment and then suddenly the business went 10x. So when people think of product market fit, the cool product market fit kind of perception is that of proper tech companies where there is zero sales and then suddenly it goes through the roof off the charts and the rest is history, or a unicorn. But that's not necessarily true of every business. It depends on the type of business. So we have a certain addressable market we're a regulated business. And so for us, product market fit is in the small wins. If by implementing something, we have been able to improve some KPI, that is product market fit. And can we do enough of those? And those kind of compound and snowball. And then before you know it, the overall bigger picture looks like product market fit. That, wow, the charts are through the roof. But it was never one thing that did it. It was this constant,
Learning
continuous improvement, not over a 2 or 3 year period, but over the 13-year period. And then still, I don't know if we truly have product market fit. Because every day we're able to continue to do these improvements and see incremental gains, whether it's in profitability or conversion rates or, efficiency or whatever it may be. What I would encourage entrepreneurs to think about is, am I the type of business that will blow up suddenly and take the whole market? Am I Airbnb or am I maybe an InsuranceMarket.ae where it's a consistent kind of growth journey?
Is your business scalable? Or because you mentioned that if you get in more customers, you will need to bring in more number of people to service those customers, right? But scalable businesses, especially tech products, are businesses which can scale automatically on their own. Do you think your business is scalable at the moment?
I think it is scalable. The human interaction bit is particularly on claims, which in terms of the grand scheme of things is still a relatively smaller part of the ecosystem, because a lot is to do with the distribution part of what we do. That is certainly very scalable, but it has required us to invest in a lot of tech. And scale also doesn't always have to come from just doing that same thing at a bigger scale, or you got to think in terms of your cliche but blue ocean strategy. What's next? It shouldn't only be about doing more of the same, but how can you do the same, or how can you build your revenue streams in a more efficient manner? And as long as your revenue is becoming more efficient to acquire, you're scalable.
Absolutely.
People, not people, it's almost secondary.
InsuranceMarket.ae. In the name, it says that it's servicing the UAE market, right? Are you ever planning to go out of the UAE market? Are you ever planning to expand in other countries?
Yeah, it's one of our corporate development pillars.
Okay.
We have a few of the corporate development pillars that we're working on. We recently established a corporate development unit within the organization to really think about what we spoke about in terms of our blue ocean strategy. And so there are some phenomenal initiatives coming up. Currently we are evaluating in everything we do what's the best way to do it in terms of the path of least resistance. Do we buy? Do we partner? Do we build? And so that's the stage at where we're at, where we're quite early in that journey. But, certainly if what we do creates value here, we would love to leverage that in other markets as well.
They say cash is king, right? In any business, cash is king. But many people want to start their business, but they don't have cash, right? And they have this belief that only if I have certain amount of cash, I can get started in my business. What is your advice to those entrepreneurs who think they need cash for their business?
There's two types of businesses, right? Those that you can bootstrap and those that require funding. There's no better or worse, right or wrong. It's just the kind of nature of business you're in. The bootstrap one will be a slow, consistent, but compounding of growth. And then the funded one will be more about building a certain type of infrastructure and then using the funding and then leveraging that to create revenue. Obviously, the funding one is as if you're starting out, you've got to go and look for investors, right? Whether it's your pre-seed or seed investors or friends or family, it's just a case of presenting yourself well to someone who could help you out and fund your business. Now, from a bootstrapping business perspective, which is what we are about, it's as simple as earn and then spend. You want to build InsuranceMarkert.ae, you go and sell insurance and then use the commissions from those insurance sales to invest in advertising, and then you can get some more leads, and that if you're doing that in a sensible, sustainable way, it blows up into a big, phenomenal business. So that's what bootstrapping is about. And it's a great teacher in business, in how to do great things in a sustainable way. But at the same time, you don't want to fall into the trap of saying you're an entrepreneur, but you're actually self-employed. And that can happen. You may say that you're bootstrapping, but you're actually just got yourself a job. You're still building a machine. You're still building, a business that can work without you and grow without you. You're still doing that. But the way you are funding that is through the revenues of that same business.
Can InsuranceMarket.ae sustain without you?
I think so.
How many days can you go on vacation without looking at your phone, checking your emails at all from your side?
There's a very good Instagram reel that comes up where the guy asks the other guy can your business survive without you? And he says, yeah. Can your business grow without you? And then there's a pause.
Yeah.
And that's certainly there. That's a factor. Can the business grow without me? I think today we have a phenomenal team. We have the management team, we have the organization we've built, the systems, the processes. So survival, 100%. Growth, yes, I believe it can, but I have some work to do to, pass the baton on to the next, round of leadership. And I think that's my responsibility as well, because that is what will make sure that the company survives far beyond me.
Inshallah, you will do it. And I think as a CEO of any company, your job is to put the right people at the right places, right? And ensure that they take the business forward. Thank you for sharing all these insights with us, Avinash. It's been a wonderful conversation. So many insights, so many tips, and such valuable information on the way how this industry is headed, how it's been impacted with recent events and where it's going. Thank you for sharing.
Brilliant and fantastic interviewing as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neet.
Okay. Cool.